Overstimulation is taking over your mind, and you might not even realize it. Your phone, your computer, even your social media feed. They are all part of an endless loop of noise and distraction that's making it harder and harder to think clearly. Have you ever noticed how difficult it is just to sit still and do nothing these days? Why can't we just be content without constantly reaching for the next hit of stimulation? In today's video, we're going to explore the hidden effects of overstimulation, why it's robbing you of your inner peace, and how it's even taking away your ability to think for yourself. The forgotten art of solitude. How overstimulation kills inner reflection. Let's start with something that's slowly fading away. The art of solitude. In a world filled with endless notifications, videos, and social media posts, when was the last time you sat alone with your thoughts? Solitude used to be a normal part of everyday life, and it was in those moments of stillness that people found clarity, creativity, and insight. But today we've lost that ability. The constant urge to pick up our phones whenever there's a spare second has taken away our opportunity to reflect deeply. Think about it. We used to have those moments of boredom while waiting in line, riding the bus, or even before falling asleep. These moments were fertile ground for the mind to wander, to connect the dots, and even to come up with creative solutions to problems. They were moments when we could truly connect with ourselves. Now, these precious moments have been hijacked by the need for constant stimulation. Whenever we have a moment of quiet, we fill it with social media scrolling, watching short videos, or reading the latest news. We're avoiding boredom like it's something to be afraid of, but by doing that, we're also avoiding ourselves. We no longer have the patience to sit through our own thoughts, and this is having a profound effect on our mental well-being. Overstimulation is causing us to lose touch with our inner world. Instead of reflecting on our values, emotions, or aspirations, we're swept away by whatever content we come across. And here lies a mystery. Are we slowly losing our ability to truly understand who we are? When we're constantly plugged into a stream of information from the outside world, we lose the opportunity to develop our own thoughts and ideas. Research has shown that periods of solitude and reflection are crucial for creativity and problem solving. But overstimulation makes it almost impossible to find that solitude. It's making our minds crowded, chaotic, and incapable of introspection. The irony is that, in our quest to be entertained at every moment, we're robbing ourselves of the most enriching experience: knowing our true selves. Addiction to dopamine hits. The neurological consequences of overstimulation. Next, let's dive into what overstimulation is doing to your brain on a chemical level. Every time you get a notification, see a like on social media, or even watch a quick entertaining video, your brain gets a hit of dopamine, a neurotransmitter responsible for pleasure and reward. Feels good, right? But here's where it gets dangerous. Our constant exposure to digital stimuli is essentially creating an addiction to dopamine. The problem is that dopamine is not just about pleasure, it's also about motivation. When we're constantly seeking these quick hits of stimulation, we're training our brains to crave instant gratification. We're becoming dependent on these small doses of pleasure, and this is drastically impacting our ability to focus on longer, more meaningful tasks. Think about this. When was the last time you read a long book, worked on a challenging project, or even watched a slow, deep movie without getting distracted? Chances are it's been a while. That's because our brains are being rewired to find satisfaction only in quick bursts of content. We've become less tolerant of anything that requires time and effort, and that's a direct result of overstimulation. This addiction is leading to a decline in our attention spans, which makes it harder to focus on things that are actually important. We struggle to stay present, and this inability to focus is making us less productive and more anxious. What's worse, our constant craving for dopamine hits is even reducing our ability to find joy in everyday activities. Things that used to bring us pleasure, like taking a walk, having a conversation, or enjoying a meal, no longer seem to satisfy us because they don't deliver the same instant dopamine hit that our screens do. The mystery is this: how much control do we truly have over our own minds? If our brains are constantly craving these hits of instant pleasure, then who's really in control? Overstimulation isn't just a nuisance. It's changing the way our brains function, and that's something we need to take seriously. Overstimulation as a threat to mental autonomy. Are we losing ourselves? Finally, let's talk about a more subtle but profound consequence of overstimulation: the threat it poses to our mental autonomy. Mental autonomy is the ability to think for yourself, to develop your own beliefs, values, and opinions. But what happens when your mind is constantly bombarded with external content? From social media, news outlets, entertainment, and advertisements. Overstimulation makes it incredibly difficult to filter out what's truly important. The more we expose ourselves to a flood of information, the more our thoughts and emotions are shaped by the content we consume. This creates a serious issue. How do you know which of your beliefs are truly yours? When you're constantly scrolling through social media, you're exposed to an endless stream of other people's opinions, and it's almost impossible not to be influenced. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, it's how we learn and grow. But when we're overstimulated, we lose the ability to reflect on and critically analyze the information we're absorbing. Think about it. How often do you find yourself feeling anxious, upset, or even excited about something you saw online? How often do those emotions linger, even though they don't really relate to your own life? Overstimulation dilutes our personal convictions because our mental space is constantly being filled by the ideas and emotions of others. The mystery here is whether we are losing our ability to define our own identity. If we don't have the mental space to reflect, we end up becoming a reflection of everything we see, rather than individuals with a clear sense of self. It's why so many people today are struggling with identity issues. We're overstimulated to the point where we can no longer hear our own voice amidst the noise. Overstimulation is robbing us of our inner peace, our ability to focus, and our mental autonomy. From killing our moments of solitude, to rewiring our brains to crave constant dopamine hits, to diluting our sense of self, the effects of overstimulation are more profound than we realize. But recognizing these dangers is the first step to reclaiming control over our own minds. Imagine a life where you can sit still without feeling the urge to check your phone, where you can enjoy simple moments without needing external stimulation, and where you know that your beliefs and values are truly your own. That life is still possible, but it requires us to break free from the cycle of overstimulation. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe for more insights into the unseen forces shaping our lives. Let's create a space where we can think, reflect, and reconnect with ourselves, free from the noise of overstimulation. Remember, true peace begins in the quiet moments. Take back those moments and find out who you really are.